everyone, and welcome to the General Hospital recap for November 14th. As always, don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss any of our videos or recaps, and also be a beauty and hit that bell down below so you get notified every time we upload a new recap. Real fast, if you want the story of why this week went off the rails, you can watch the intro to yesterday's video and it will tell you all of the details. Let's get right to it. At Windermere, Valentine wants to explain more to Nina about what's going on. He tries to impress how out of the blue all of this is. Cassie kissed him, she's complicated, and he couldn't risk alienating her by just pushing her away, and he's being forced to work with her / for her. But it's not going to be jewel thievery, it's opioids. And Nina is like, drug trafficking isn't your thing. And he says that he's working with Cassandra to stop her, taking her down from the inside. Cassie doesn't need to deal opioids. She's already super rich from the jewel stuff. So Nina's like, okay, so what, she deserves what she gets? And even if she wasn't already super rich from the jewel stuff, she still deserves what she gets, because dealing synthetic opioids that you know are killing people is just, nah. Nina says, but you're not working with law enforcement, so how's this gonna work? And he's like, actually, I'm working with Anna, which goes over just about as well as you think it does. Nina thinks that this is about being close to Anna, but Valentine says he had turned Anna down the first time, but then Cassie threatened Nina and Charlotte. Well, it was an implied threat, and he has to act. He has to betray her. He can't just eliminate her, because that would cause a lot more problems. Nina hates the idea of him working with Anna, but she understands why he's doing it. Nina wants to help take Cassie down as well, and Valentine says no. He understands he can't stop her from reaching out to Cassie, but he hates the idea of her and Cassie even in the same room, and she goes, okay, be careful, and no unnecessary contact with Anna. But like the majority of the time he was working with Anna and all of that back and forth with Anna, it was really Alex. So I mean, but I guess in Nina's case, we can't blame her. We just have to be like, but Nina has to get to work now. At General Hospital, Jordan is talking with Monica about Andre. Anna overhears and asks, she inquires, and Jordan starts to fill her in a little about Andre, the death certificate, Jason squared, all of that. Anna wants to know what Andre is covering up. Anna feels bad for both Jasons. She's been through something similar. Yeah, you think? At the Metro Court, Carly is cooking up something with Diane, and Carly has to go talk to Jason to get his authorization on stuff. Alexis then sits down with Diane. She's asking about Nora Buchanan and such, and Diane thinks this is all ridiculous, that Alexis is being manipulated to help Julian, and Alexis says she just needed to see Julian for herself. You know, nobody manipulated her into doing it. And someone needs to do something, though, to help him, because he's going to die in prison. And Alexis says that Julian didn't even want her at the prison. He didn't want her involved with this. He wouldn't even talk to her about the attack, and Diane thinks that this could be a deliberate play, or maybe he's sincere and trying to let Alexis go, or trying to have her let him go. And Diane says Alexis should let him go, because either you're leaving a bad guy who's manipulating you, or you're honoring his wishes. Forget about him and move on with your life. Alexis doesn't want him to die in jail, though. Absolutely not. She needs to help as much as she can, or else she won't forgive herself if it does happen. At Steve Burton Jason's room at the Metro Court, there's a dream sequence where Steve Burton Jason shoots Port Charles Jason. It's the day that he's first seeing him and Sam together, where he was out on the terrace and they walked in. Sam yells at him and says she loves Port Charles Jason, and there's such dramatic camera angles. It's like, it was a nightmare. Carly comes to see him. He is there. She was worried he wasn't going to be. Carly is still adjusting to this. Steve Burton Jason thinks this twin thing makes sense in the scheme of things. What's going on? What else could it be? Carly wants to clean up this mess that she still feels she made. She says not once did she ever see her Jason looking back at her when she thought Port Charles Jason was him. And Steve Burton Jason says he can't move against Port Charles Jason without hurting Sam, and he will not do anything to hurt Sam, even if it means stepping aside and letting Sam have a life with a whole nother man. And Steve Burton Jason apparently was arrested over 50 times prior to 2012. Oh my goodness, like, I'm shocked but not surprised. He's happy to be home. He doesn't really need any more than that. He doesn't even need his name. He'll pick a different name, just not Drew. And Carly says that he should be fighting for himself and Sam. He says that he had a nightmare. It was really bad. He shot poor Charles Jason. Sam was with him and yelling at him. He doesn't want Sam to get caught in the middle. And Carly's like, she's already in the middle, all right? You didn't put her there. Life put her there. I put her there. The only way forward is to make a choice. Port Charles Jason has to accept who he is, and then Sam has to make a decision because he is the true Jason Morgan. Monica is at the door and Carly was headed out. So Monica is so happy to see him. She thought he might be at Sunny's, and he said he wanted to be on his own, and she's like, "You've always been so independent." She pulls back a little bit because she doesn't want to smother. There's something she needs to say. She's furious with Heather and this whole situation. Monica wishes that the family knew about both of them. Steve Burton Jason likes his life. He's not nostalgic for a past he never had, but he feels he was unfair to the family, especially Monica. And Monica says that she didn't handle things right either, and she's not handling things right now, and she doesn't know what to do or say. And he says he loves her, and she hugs him, and it's like, it's these moments where there's no doubt in my mind. She acknowledges both of them, you know, Steve Burton Jason and Poor Charles Jason. It's going to take a while to sort this out, and it's going to be painful, but she hopes at the end they can be brothers, and he doesn't know if that's possible. At J. Sam's place, Poor Charles Jason apparently never came to bed last night. He stayed on the couch strategizing. He feels that they're going to be fighting against Carly and Sunny because they back this Steve Burton Jason. He feels Steve Burton Jason is going to pursue taking his life away, and Port Charles Jason isn't going to sit by and let it happen. Like, he's very... I don't know if the writers are doing this intentionally to, like, really, but it's just very aggressive. Poor Charles Jason thinks Sunny is going to advise Steve Burton Jason to go after Aurora, which just makes no sense because Jason Morgan has no interest in running a company. Poor Charles Jason wants to focus on Aurora now, so it'll be harder to take away. Sunny wants Steve Burton Jason to be the Jason that he couldn't be anymore, so he's going to turn Drew into him. And Sam says, you guys do share a family though, so at some point you have to, you know? And poor Charles Jason doesn't want to share his family. The Quartermains. Then he goes on to talk about Danny and Scout and Jake. And Sam's like, Sunny would never include the kids in this, okay? No one would ever include the kids in this. Poor Charles Jason is doing interviews for COOs today, which is something Jason Morgan would never ever say in his life, okay? Like, he leaves and Sam thinks about memories with Steve Burton Jason, the time they danced around the living room, and I think she's really starting to see the differences now. Carly comes over and she wants to talk about Jason. Carly apologizes. Poor Charles Jason isn't Jason. Sam can't say it, but Carly can. He's a good person. He's just not Jason. He's different. She felt the same way when she initially heard this Jason news that, this Jason they've known for the past 3 years. How could he be anyone else? But then she saw him and she just knew. She knew Jason when she looked into his eyes. And the only reason Sam isn't saying it is because of loyalty to Port Charles Jason. Back at the Metro Court, Port Charles Jason is interviewing a guy for the COO position. He's immediately kind of skeptical of him though, because this guy is just available as soon as the job's available. This guy seems pretty competent, but then the guy has questions too. He asks if he's actually Jason Morgan. This twin thing, is his buying the company legit? Is this going to be a stable job? Poor Charles Jason says Aurora belongs to him and his wife, and they have no intentions for that to change. Also in the Metrocourt, Alexis is talking to Diane about who's paying Nora Buchanan, not Olivia. So who would care enough to do that? Alexis thinks there could be a Valentine connection to all of this, and she leaves. Poor Charles Jason sits down with Diane. He wants to put stuff in place so Steve Burton Jason can't make a play for Aurora. And Diane goes, actually, I left you a message yesterday. I'm resigning as your attorney. I can no longer defend you because I believe this other guy is Jason Morgan. My heart is breaking for poor Charles Jason. I can't imagine what this is like for him. I just want him to find peace. I want good things for him. And now end scene. Anna tells Jordan Andre was working on a memory copying and putting in someone else's technology. It would have been useful for intelligence work, but ethically indefensible. So the WSB ultimately scrapped the project. Jason Squared would lead them to believe he continued his research though. We see a gloved man with a fake passport with Andre's picture. Alexis comes to see Valentine. She asks what his association with Olivia Gervais Jerome is. Nina calls Cassie. Does she want to meet her at the Metro Court? Diane assures poor Charles Jason she's already had his record sealed and everything is still privileged. Like, that's fine. Any interactions they had is totally not going to come into play here. Poor Charles Jason says to warn her client not to come near his family, and she says her client is Jason Morgan, and he has some harsh words for her that I don't think I've ever heard anyone talk to Diane like that. And then Steve Burt and Jason comes into the Metro Court out of the elevator as poor Charles Jason is going in. Steve Burt and Jason doesn't want to fight. It's just a name. He's worried about Sam's best interest. Diane says, look, Jason Morgan's assets are up in a cloud right now. They belong to no one. He needs to establish his name, and then he could do whatever he wants with those assets. He could sign them all to Sam. He could sign them all to poor Charles Jason. It needs to get sorted out, and then everyone moves forward. Sam tells Carly her husband never came to bed last night because he was downstairs strategizing against Carly and Sonny. He's afraid they want to take everything away from him, and Carly says it's not up to her. Sam's gonna have to make the choice here. Andrew will fight for her, but Jason won't. It's not his nature. He thinks that that's going to make her happy. That's all that matters to him, but staying with poor Charles Jason won't make Sam happy. She is in a very loving relationship, but Jason owns her heart and soul, so it'll be best for everyone for her to admit her feelings, especially Andrew. And Sam thinks about the dancing again. And that's all we got for the 14th. I have to go get ready for work now, and I will see you tonight when I upload these, and hopefully very soon. Okay, I'll see you then. All right, bye!